Question 1. What are the legal requirements for establishing a valid real estate contract in Texas? A. Oral agreement between the parties. B. Written agreement with at least one witness. C. Written agreement signed by all parties involved. D. Notarization of the contract. Answer: C. Written agreement signed by all parties involved. Explanation: in Texas, a real estate contract must be in writing and signed by all parties involved to be legally binding. Oral agreements are generally not enforceable for real estate transactions. Question 2. How does Texas law define homestead, and what protections does it offer homeowners? A. A primary residence with tax benefits. B. Any property owned and occupied by a family. C. A property with protection from forced sale under certain debts. D. A large rural property. Answer: C. A property with protection from forced sale under certain debts. Explanation: Texas law defines a homestead as the primary residence of a family or an individual, which is protected from forced sale by creditors for the payment of certain debts, providing significant financial protection to homeowners. Question 3. In Texas, what are the consequences for a real estate agent who fails to disclose a known property defect? A. A formal warning. B. License suspension and potential legal action. C. Mandatory ethics training. D. A small fine. Answer: B. License suspension and potential legal action. Explanation: in Texas, a real estate agent's failure to disclose a known property defect can result in serious consequences, including suspension of their license and potential legal action due to the breach of their duty to act honestly and in the best interests of their clients. Question 4. Explain the concept of community property in Texas and its impact on real estate transactions. A. Property used for community purposes. B. Property owned by the state. C. Property acquired by either spouse during marriage. D. Jointly owned property by married couples. Answer: C. Property acquired by either spouse during marriage. Explanation: in Texas, a community property state, property acquired by either spouse during marriage is considered community property. This means it is owned equally by both spouses, significantly impacting real estate transactions, especially in the event of divorce or death. Question 5. What is the significance of the Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act, DTPA, in real estate? A. It governs international real estate trade. B. It protects consumers from false, misleading, or deceptive business practices. C. It regulates trade practices outside of real estate. D. It covers only new home sales. Answer: B. It protects consumers from false, misleading, or deceptive business practices. Explanation: the Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act, DTPA, is significant in real estate as it protects consumers from deceptive, misleading, or fraudulent practices, ensuring fairness and honesty in the buying and selling process. Question 6. Scenario: a Texas homeowner discovers oil beneath their property. What are the implications regarding mineral rights? A. The homeowner automatically owns the mineral rights. B. Mineral rights are typically separate from surface rights. C. The state claims ownership of the oil. D. Oil extraction is prohibited on private land. Answer: B. Mineral rights are typically separate from surface rights. Explanation: in Texas, discovering oil beneath a property raises questions about mineral rights, which are often sold or leased separately from surface rights. The homeowner may not own the mineral rights even if they own the land. Question 7. Describe the process and requirements for obtaining a real estate license in Texas. A. Completion of a simple online application. B. Passing a criminal background check only. C. Completion of education requirements and passing the licensing exam. D. Holding a college degree in real estate. Answer: C. Completion of education requirements and passing the licensing exam. Explanation: to obtain a real estate license in Texas, an individual must complete specified education requirements, pass the real estate licensing exam, and undergo a criminal background check. Question 8. How does Texas law handle property disputes over boundary lines? A. Through mandatory mediation. B. By a decision of the local homeowners association. C. By civil litigation or agreement between property owners. D. By a state-appointed surveyor's decision. Answer: C. By civil litigation or agreement between property owners. Explanation: in Texas, property boundary disputes are usually resolved through civil litigation in the courts or by mutual agreement between the property owners, often involving a professional survey to determine the accurate boundaries. Question 9. What is an easement in Texas real estate, and what are the different types? A. A right to use public land for recreation. B. A legal right to use someone else's land for a specific purpose. Types include utility, private, and prescriptive easements. C. A government-issued property permit. D. A temporary right to occupy a property. Answer: B. A legal right to use someone else's land for a specific purpose. Types include utility, private, and prescriptive easements. Explanation: an easement in Texas real estate is a legal right to use another person's land for a specific purpose, such as access or utility lines. Common types include utility easements, private easements, example driveway access, and prescriptive easements, acquired through long-term use. Question 10. Scenario: a Texas property is sold with an undisclosed lion. What legal actions can the buyer take? A. The buyer must accept the lion as part of the purchase. B. Request the seller to pay off the lion. C. Sue the seller for non-disclosure and damages. D. Transfer the lion to another property. Answer: C. Sue the seller for non-disclosure and damages. Explanation: in Texas, if a property is sold with an undisclosed lion, the buyer may have legal grounds to sue the seller for failing to disclose the lion, which is a material fact about the property. The buyer can seek damages or potentially rescind the sale. Question 11. What are the specific duties and responsibilities of a fiduciary in Texas real estate transactions? A. To ensure the highest possible sale price. B. To represent the client's best interest, maintain confidentiality, and provide full disclosure. C. To complete transactions as quickly as possible. D. To advertise the property widely. Answer: B. To represent the client's best interest, maintain confidentiality, and provide full disclosure. Explanation: in Texas real estate, a fiduciary has specific duties and responsibilities, including representing the client's best interest, maintaining confidentiality of client information, and providing full disclosure of all material facts related to the transaction. Question 12. How does the Texas Real Estate Commission, TREC, regulate advertising in real estate? A. All advertisements must be approved by TREC. B. Advertising is not regulated by TREC. C. Advertising must be truthful, clear, and not misleading. D. Only brokers can advertise properties. Answer: C. Advertising must be truthful, clear, and not misleading. Explanation: the Texas Real Estate Commission regulates advertising in the real estate industry by requiring that all advertisements be truthful, clear, and not misleading. Misrepresentation or false advertising can lead to disciplinary action by TREC. Question 13. What is the Texas homestead exemption, and how does it benefit property owners? A. Automatic approval for home loans. B. A reduction in property taxes for the primary residence. C. A discount on the purchase price of a home. D. Exemption from all property taxes. Answer B. A reduction in property taxes for the primary residence. Explanation. The Texas homestead exemption provides a reduction in property taxes for the primary residence of the homeowner. This tax benefit helps lower the cost of owning a home and provides some financial relief to homeowners. Question 14. Define title insurance and its importance in Texas real estate transactions. A. Insurance for real estate agents. B. Insurance covering property damages. C. Insurance protecting against title defects. D. Mandatory state insurance for all properties. Answer C. Insurance protecting against title defects. Explanation. Title insurance is crucial in Texas real estate transactions as it protects buyers and lenders against losses resulting from defects in the property's title, such as unknown lines or disputes over ownership. Question 15. Scenario. A tenant in Texas is evicted without proper notice. What are their legal rights and remedies? A. The tenant must vacate immediately with no recourse. B. Seek legal action for wrongful eviction. C. Request a hearing with the Texas Real Estate Commission. D. Apply for immediate rehousing by the state. Answer B. Seek legal action for wrongful eviction. Explanation. In Texas, if a tenant is evicted without proper notice, they have the right to seek legal action against the landlord for wrongful eviction, as landlords must follow specific legal procedures and provide appropriate notice before evicting a tenant. Question 16. In Texas real estate, what constitutes a breach of contract and what remedies are available? A. Failure to hold an open house, remedied by a fine. B. Failure to adhere to the terms of the contract. Remedies include specific performance, damages, or contract termination. C. Delay in property listing, remedied by contract extension. D. Minor changes in contract terms with no available remedies. Answer B. Failure to adhere to the terms of the contract. Remedies include specific performance, damages, or contract termination. Explanation. A breach of contract in Texas real estate occurs when any party fails to perform according to the terms of the contract. Available remedies include enforcing the contract's terms, specific performance, seeking damages for losses incurred, or terminating the contract. Question 17. Explain the purpose and legal significance of a property survey in Texas. A. To determine the property's market value. B. To assess the property's condition. C. To verify property boundaries and identify any encroachments. D. To evaluate zoning compliance. Answer C. To verify property boundaries and identify any encroachments. Explanation. In Texas, the purpose of a property survey is to verify the property's boundaries, ensuring accuracy in legal descriptions and identifying any potential encroachments or boundary disputes, which is crucial for clear property ownership. Question 18. What legal protections are offered by the Federal Fair Housing Act in Texas? A. It regulates housing construction standards. B. It prevents property tax discrimination. C. It only applies to federal housing projects. D. It prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, or disability. Answer D. It prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, or disability. Explanation. The Federal Fair Housing Act provides significant legal protections in Texas by prohibiting discrimination in the sale, rental, and financing of housing based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, or disability, ensuring equal housing opportunities for all individuals. Question 19. Scenario. A Texas property owner wants to convert a residential building into a commercial property. What zoning considerations must they address? A. No zoning considerations are needed. B. The property must be rezoned for commercial use. C. Only state approval is required. D. A variance must be obtained for mixed use. Answer: B. The property must be rezoned for commercial use. Explanation: in Texas, converting a residential building into a commercial property typically requires rezoning the property for commercial use. This process involves approval from local zoning authorities and may require meeting specific zoning criteria. Question 20. How is dual agency regulated in Texas real estate, and what are the requirements for its practice? A. It's prohibited under all circumstances. B. Allowed with written consent from all parties. C. Only permitted in commercial transactions. D. No specific regulations. Answer: B. Allowed with written consent from all parties. Explanation: dual agency in Texas real estate, where an agent represents both the buyer and seller in the same transaction, is legal but requires explicit written consent from all parties involved. This ensures that all parties are aware of and agree to the dual representation. Question 21. What is a 1031 exchange in Texas real estate, and how can it benefit property investors? A. A method for quickly transferring property titles. B. A tax deferral strategy for exchanging investment properties. C. A standardized contract form for real estate transactions. D. A government program for first-time homebuyers. Answer: B. A tax deferral strategy for exchanging investment properties. Explanation: a 1031 exchange in Texas real estate allows investors to defer capital gains taxes on the exchange of like-kind properties. This tax deferral strategy can be beneficial for investors looking to reinvest in similar properties without immediate tax liability. Question 22. Define the term marketable title and explain its importance in Texas property transactions. A. A title with verified property boundaries. B. A title free of lines and encumbrances. C. The most commonly transferred type of title. D. A title that is fully insured. Answer: B. A title free of lines and encumbrances. Explanation: marketable title in Texas real estate refers to a property title that is clear of significant lines or disputes, making it more attractive and secure for potential buyers. It's essential for ensuring smooth and legally sound property transactions. Question 23. Scenario: a buyer in Texas discovers severe mold issues after purchasing a home. What recourse is available if the seller did not disclose this condition? A. Seek damages from the seller for non-disclosure. B. Mandatory arbitration with the seller. C. Request a mold inspection certificate from the seller. D. Apply for a state remediation grant. Answer: A. Seek damages from the seller for non-disclosure. Explanation: if a buyer in Texas discovers severe mold issues that were not disclosed by the seller, they may have legal recourse to seek damages. Texas law requires sellers to disclose known material defects, and failure to do so can result in liability. Question 24. How are property taxes calculated and appealed in Texas? A. Based on the property's purchase price. B. Annually by the state government. C. By a flat statewide rate. D. Annually by local appraisal districts, with appeals to the Appraisal Review Board. Answer: D. Annually by local appraisal districts, with appeals to the Appraisal Review Board. Explanation: in Texas, property taxes are calculated annually by local appraisal districts based on the property's assessed value. Property owners can appeal the assessed value to the local Appraisal Review Board if they believe it is incorrect. Question 25. Explain the significance and process of obtaining a homestead designation for a property in Texas. A. It grants exemption from all property taxes. B. It provides protection against forced sale and offers tax benefits. C. It is a mandatory designation for all homeowners. D. It allows for commercial farming on the property. Answer: B. It provides protection against forced sale and offers tax benefits. Explanation: The homestead designation in Texas provides homeowners with protection against forced sale from creditors and offers property tax benefits. Homeowners can apply for this designation through their local appraisal district. Question 26. What are the legal implications of a property being in a flood zone in Texas, and how must this be disclosed? A. No specific implications or disclosure requirements. B. Mandatory flood insurance purchase by the buyer. C. Sellers must disclose known flood hazards or past flooding. D. The property is ineligible for sale. Answer: C. Sellers must disclose known flood hazards or past flooding. Explanation: in Texas, if a property is in a flood zone, sellers are required to disclose any known flood hazards or history of flooding. This disclosure is important for informing potential buyers of the risk and for making informed decisions. Question 27. Scenario: a real estate agent in Texas is found to have breached their fiduciary duties. What are the potential consequences? A. License revocation and possible legal action. B. A written warning from the Texas Real Estate Commission. C. Mandatory ethics retraining. D. A small fine payable to the state. Answer: A. License revocation and possible legal action. Explanation: breaching fiduciary duties in Texas can result in severe consequences for a real estate agent, including the potential revocation of their license and legal actions, such as lawsuits for damages due to the breach of duty. Question 28. How does Texas law address the division of real estate in a divorce under community property rules? A. The property is always sold and proceeds split equally. B. Each spouse retains their individual properties. C. Real estate acquired during the marriage is divided equitably. D. The spouse with higher income retains the property. Answer: C. Real estate acquired during the marriage is divided equitably. Explanation: under Texas community property laws, real estate acquired during the marriage is subject to equitable division in a divorce. This means the property will be divided in a manner that is fair and just, which may not always mean equally. Question 29. What are the required steps for a legal eviction process in Texas? A. Immediate eviction without notice. B. Providing written notice and obtaining a court order. C. Only a verbal notice is required. D. Eviction without a court order. Answer: B. Providing written notice and obtaining a court order. Explanation: the legal eviction process in Texas requires landlords to provide written notice to the tenant and then obtain a court order if the tenant does not comply. This ensures the eviction process is conducted lawfully and respects the tenant's rights. Question 30. Explain the difference between a general warranty deed and a quitclaim deed in Texas real estate. A. No significant differences between them. B. General warranty deed guarantees clear title. Quitclaim deed makes no guarantees. C. Quitclaim deed is used only for commercial properties. D. General warranty deed is used only for new constructions. Answer: B. General warranty deed guarantees clear title. Quitclaim deed makes no guarantees. Explanation: in Texas, a general warranty deed guarantees that the property title is clear and free from any encumbrances, while a quitclaim deed transfers whatever interest the grantor has in the property without any guarantees about the title's status. Question 31. Scenario: a commercial property owner in Texas wants to develop a parcel of land, but faces opposition due to environmental concerns. What are the legal considerations? A. Environmental impact assessments and compliance with regulations. B. No legal considerations. Private property rights are absolute. C. Only local zoning laws need to be considered. D. Development can proceed without addressing environmental concerns. Answer: A. Environmental impact assessments and compliance with regulations. Explanation: In Texas, when developing a parcel of land, commercial property owners must consider environmental concerns, including conducting environmental impact assessments and ensuring compliance with federal, state, and local environmental regulations. Question 32. In Texas, what constitutes illegal discrimination in real estate practices under the Fair Housing Act? A. Refusing to sell or rent based on financial status. B. Charging different prices for different clients. C. Discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, or disability. D. Preferring to sell properties to families. Answer: C. Discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, or disability. Explanation: under the Fair Housing Act in Texas, it's illegal to discriminate in housing practices based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, or disability. This includes refusing to sell, rent, or negotiate housing, or making housing unavailable on these bases. Question 33. Define line priority in Texas and its impact on real estate transactions. A. The order in which lines are paid off during a sale. B. The highest amount owed in lines. C. The first line placed on a property. D. The most recent line recorded. Answer: A. The order in which lines are paid off during a sale. Explanation: line priority in Texas determines the order in which lines on a property are paid off in the event of a sale, foreclosure, or bankruptcy. It impacts real estate transactions by affecting the clear transfer of title and the distribution of sale proceeds. Question 34. How is agency established between a real estate agent and a client in Texas, and what are the obligations of the agent? A. Through verbal agreement with limited obligations. B. Automatically when showing a property. C. Through a written agreement with fiduciary duties to the client. D. No formal process required for establishing agency. Answer: C. Through a written agreement with fiduciary duties to the client. Explanation: in Texas, agency between a real estate agent and a client is established through a written agreement. The agent has fiduciary duties to the client, including loyalty, confidentiality, disclosure, obedience, reasonable care, and accounting. Question 35. Scenario: a Texas property has an easement that the new owner wants to remove. What legal avenues are available? A. Automatic removal upon property transfer. B. Negotiating with the easement holder or seeking a court order. C. Filing a complaint with the Texas Real Estate Commission. D. No legal avenues. Easements are permanent. Answer: B. Negotiating with the easement holder or seeking a court order. Explanation: in Texas, if a new property owner wants to remove an existing easement, they can negotiate with the easement holder for its release, or, if necessary, seek a court order to remove it, especially if the easement is no longer relevant or necessary. Question 36. What is the Texas Real Estate Commission's role in overseeing real estate education and licensing? A. Providing all real estate education directly. B. Only regulating education for brokers. C. Approving and regulating real estate education providers and courses. D. No involvement in real estate education. Answer: C. Approving and regulating real estate education providers and courses. Explanation: the Texas Real Estate Commission, TRC, is responsible for approving and regulating real estate education providers and courses in Texas. This ensures that real estate professionals receive proper education and training that meets state standards. Question 37. Explain the concept of severable rights in Texas real estate, including surface, air, and subsurface rights. A. Rights that can be sold or leased separately from the land. B. Rights that apply only to commercial properties. C. Non-transferable property rights. D. Rights only for government-owned lands. Answer: A. rights that can be sold or leased separately from the land. Explanation. In Texas real estate, severable rights such as surface, air, and subsurface rights can be sold or leased separately from the land itself. This means a property owner can transfer these rights without selling the entire property, which is particularly relevant in areas with valuable natural resources. Question 38. In Texas, what disclosures are required by law when selling a residential property? A. Only disclosures about the property's age. B. No disclosures are required. C. Disclosure of any known defects and hazards. D. Full disclosure of the seller's financial situation. Answer. C. Disclosure of any known defects and hazards. Explanation. Texas law requires sellers to disclose any known defects or hazards related to a residential property. This includes issues with the structure, systems, or any other aspect of the property that might affect its value or usability. Question 39. Scenario. A tenant in Texas is withholding rent due to unaddressed repair issues. What are the legal implications for both the tenant and the landlord? A. The tenant can legally withhold rent without consequences. B. The landlord can evict the tenant immediately. C. The tenant must continue to pay rent but can seek legal remedies. D. The landlord must address repairs, or the tenant may have a right to withhold rent. Answer. D. The landlord must address repairs, or the tenant may have a right to withhold rent. Explanation. In Texas, if a landlord fails to address necessary repairs, the tenant may have the right to withhold rent under certain conditions. However, the tenant must follow specific legal procedures to do so, and it's advisable to seek legal advice in such situations. Question 40. Describe the legal process and implications of a property foreclosure in Texas. A. Foreclosure can only occur with court approval. B. Immediate eviction of the property owner without notice. C. A judicial process followed by a public auction. D. The lender takes possession without public auction. Answer. C. A judicial process followed by a public auction. Explanation. In Texas, property foreclosure typically involves a judicial process where the lender must obtain court approval to foreclose. The property is then sold at a public auction, with the proceeds used to pay off the mortgage debt. Question 41. What rights and responsibilities do landlords have regarding security deposits in Texas? A. Landlords can keep all security deposits. B. They must return the deposit within 30 days of the tenant vacating. C. No obligation to return security deposits. D. Immediate return of deposit upon tenant's request. Answer. B. They must return the deposit within 30 days of the tenant vacating. Explanation. In Texas, landlords are required to return a tenant's security deposit within 30 days after the tenant vacates the property, minus any deductions for damages or unpaid rent. Question 42. Explain the legal concept of adverse possession in Texas and the requirements to claim a property this way. A. Occupying a property for at least 5 years with the owner's permission. B. Claiming ownership after renting a property for 10 years. C. Open, notorious, and continuous possession for 10 years without the owner's permission. D. Automatically acquiring title after living on a property for 15 years. Answer. C. Open, notorious, and continuous possession for 10 years without the owner's permission. Explanation. Adverse possession in Texas requires a person to occupy a property openly, notoriously, and continuously for at least 10 years without the owner's consent. If these conditions are met, the occupant may acquire legal title to the property. Question 43. Scenario. A property in Texas is being sold with an active lease agreement in place. What rights does the tenant have in this situation? A. The tenant must vacate immediately. B. The lease is terminated upon sale of the property. C. The tenant retains their rights under the existing lease. D. the tenant can renegotiate the lease with the new owner. Answer: C. The tenant retains their rights under the existing lease. Explanation: in Texas, if a property is sold with an active lease, the tenant retains their rights under the lease. The new owner must honor the terms of the existing lease agreement until it expires. Question 44. How does Texas law define and handle earnest money in real estate transactions? A. A non-refundable deposit to the seller. B. A refundable deposit if the deal falls through. C. A deposit demonstrating the buyer's serious intent held in escrow. D. A mandatory fee paid to the real estate agent. Answer: C. A deposit demonstrating the buyer's serious intent held in escrow. Explanation: in Texas real estate transactions, earnest money is a deposit made by the buyer demonstrating their serious intent to complete the purchase. It is held in an escrow account and typically applied to the purchase price at closing. Question 45. What are the implications of Texas being a non-disclosure state in terms of real estate sales? A. Sale prices of properties are not publicly disclosed, affecting comparables. B. Non-disclosure of property defects is allowed. C. Agents are not required to disclose commission rates. D. Property appraisals are not required. Answer: A. Sale prices of properties are not publicly disclosed, affecting comparables. Explanation: Texas's non-disclosure policy means that sales prices of properties are not publicly disclosed, which can impact real estate appraisals as appraisers may not have access to accurate sale price information for comparable properties. Question 46. Scenario: in Texas, a real estate contract is breached by the seller. What remedies are available to the buyer? A. Only monetary damages. B. Rescission of the contract, specific performance, or damages. C. The contract is automatically void. D. Mandatory mediation only. Answer: B. Rescission of the contract, specific performance, or damages. Explanation: in the event of a breach of a real estate contract in Texas, the buyer may seek various remedies such as rescission, cancellation of the contract, specific performance, forcing the completion of the contract as agreed, or monetary damages. Question 47. Define procuring cause in the context of Texas real estate transactions. A. The agent who first introduces a buyer to a property. B. The primary reason a property sale occurs. C. The agent responsible for finalizing the sale. D. The legal cause for terminating a contract. Answer: C. The agent responsible for finalizing the sale. Explanation: in Texas real estate, procuring cause refers to the agent who is primarily responsible for bringing about the sale of a property. This agent is typically entitled to the commission from the transaction. Question 48. Explain the significance of the Texas Veterans Land Board, VOB, in real estate. A. It regulates all land sales in Texas. B. Offers land loans and other benefits to Texas veterans. C. Provides free land to veterans. D. Manages public lands in Texas. Answer: B. Offers land loans and other benefits to Texas veterans. Explanation: the Texas Veterans Land Board, VOB, provides various benefits to Texas veterans, including offering land loans, and home improvement loans at favorable terms, assisting veterans in purchasing property. Question 49. What is the purpose and legal effect of seller's disclosure in Texas real estate transactions? A. A formal declaration of the seller's intention to sell. B. A document outlining the commission rates. C. A disclosure of known defects and issues with the property. D. A guarantee of the property's condition. Answer: C. A disclosure of known defects and issues with the property. Explanation: in Texas, a seller's disclosure is a legally required document in which the seller discloses known defects and issues with the property, such as prior damage, existing problems, and other material facts that could affect the property's value or desirability. Question 50. Scenario. A Texas homeowner is disputing their property tax assessment. What is the process for challenging this assessment? A. Immediate appeal to the state court. B. File a complaint with the Texas Real Estate Commission. C. Submit a formal protest to the local appraisal review board. D. No appeal process is available. Answer. C. Submit a formal protest to the local appraisal review board. Explanation. In Texas, homeowners who disagree with their property tax assessment can challenge it by submitting a formal protest to the local appraisal review board. This board reviews the assessment and can make adjustments based on evidence presented by the homeowner. Question 51. In Texas, what is required for a real estate agent to represent a buyer or a seller in a transaction? A. A verbal agreement is sufficient. B. Representation is automatically established when showing a property. C. A written agreement outlining the terms of representation. D. Approval from the Texas Real Estate Commission. Answer. C. A written agreement outlining the terms of representation. Explanation. In Texas, for a real estate agent to represent a buyer or seller in a transaction, a written agreement is required. This agreement outlines the terms of representation, including the agent's duties and the obligations of the parties. Question 52. How are water rights and usage regulated in Texas, particularly for property owners? A. Through the first in time, first in right doctrine. B. All water rights are owned by the state. C. Based on the proximity to the water source. D. Through a lottery system. Answer. A. Through the first in time, first in right doctrine. Explanation. In Texas, water rights are generally managed based on the doctrine of first in time, first in right, which means that those who have legally secured their water rights earlier have priority over those who secure them later. Question 53. Scenario. A buyer in Texas discovers that a newly purchased property is part of a homeowners association, OA, with undisclosed fees. What legal actions can the buyer take? A. The buyer must accept the HOA fees as they are. B. Seek damages or rescind the sale for failure to disclose HOA fees. C. Request a waiver of the fees from the HOA. D. File a complaint with the local government. Answer. B. Seek damages or rescind the sale for failure to disclose HOA fees. Explanation. In Texas, if a buyer discovers undisclosed HOA fees after purchasing a property, they may have legal grounds to seek damages or potentially rescind the sale, as failure to disclose HOA fees and conditions is considered a material omission. Question 54. What constitutes a legally binding electronic signature in Texas real estate transactions? A. Any digital mark or symbol. B. A scanned copy of a handwritten signature. C. An electronic signature that meets the requirements of the Texas Uniform Electronic Transactions Act. D. An email agreement. Answer. C. An electronic signature that meets the requirements of the Texas Uniform Electronic Transactions Act. Explanation. In Texas, a legally binding electronic signature in real estate transactions must comply with the Texas Uniform Electronic Transactions Act. This includes being executed with the intent to sign and being logically associated with the record. Question 55. Explain the impact of zoning laws on property use and development in Texas. A. Zoning laws have no impact on property use. B. They dictate the types of structures and activities permitted on a property. C. Zoning laws only apply to commercial properties. D. They regulate property sales prices. Answer. B. They dictate the types of structures and activities permitted on a property. Explanation. Zoning laws in Texas significantly impact property use and development by dictating what types of structures can be built and what activities are permitted on a property, such as residential, commercial, or industrial use. Question 56. Scenario. A Texas real estate agent inadvertently discloses confidential information about a client. What are the potential repercussions? A. License revocation and a lawsuit for breach of confidentiality. B. A formal apology is sufficient. C. Mandatory retraining on confidentiality. D. A warning from the Texas Real Estate Commission. Answer. A. License revocation and a lawsuit for breach of confidentiality. Explanation. If a Texas real estate agent inadvertently discloses confidential client information, they could face serious repercussions, including the potential revocation of their license and a lawsuit for breach of confidentiality. Confidentiality is a key aspect of an agent's fiduciary duties. Question 57. Define the term subagent in Texas real estate and its role in a transaction. A. An agent representing a different party in the transaction. B. An assistant to the primary agent. C. An agent working for another agent, representing the same client. D. A government official overseeing the transaction. Answer. C. An agent working for another agent, representing the same client. Explanation. In Texas real estate, a subagent is an agent who works under another agent, representing the same client, typically the seller, in a transaction. This arrangement allows for additional assistance and representation for the client. Question 58. In Texas, what are the legal implications of a property that is landlocked? A. No legal implications. The property remains inaccessible. B. The owner has the right to create access through eminent domain. C. The owner may seek an easement by necessity for access. D. The property must be sold to the government. Answer. C. The owner may seek an easement by necessity for access. Explanation. In Texas, if a property is landlocked, meaning it has no access to a public road, the owner may seek an easement by necessity. This legal action allows the owner to gain access through a neighboring property. Question 59. Scenario. A Texas property owner discovers a rare and endangered species on their land, affecting their ability to develop it. What environmental laws come into play? A. Only local zoning laws. B. Texas Blue Law. C. The Endangered Species Act and other relevant environmental regulations. D. No laws. The owner can proceed with development. Answer. C. The Endangered Species Act and other relevant environmental regulations. Explanation. The discovery of a rare and endangered species on a Texas property can trigger the Endangered Species Act and other environmental regulations. These laws may restrict or modify the owner's development plans to protect the species. Question 60. Explain the differences between real property and personal property in the context of Texas real estate law. A. Real property is land and permanent structures. Personal property is movable items. B. No significant legal differences. C. Personal property includes land. Real property includes vehicles. D. Real property refers to commercial properties only. Answer. A. Real property is land and permanent structures. Personal property is movable items. Explanation. In Texas real estate law, real property refers to land and any permanent structures attached to it, such as houses or buildings. Personal property, on the other hand, includes movable items like furniture, cars, and personal belongings. Question 61. What are the requirements and implications of a 1031 exchange in Texas real estate investment? A. It allows investors to defer capital gains taxes on exchanged properties. B. No specific requirements. It's a standard property exchange. C. It's only applicable for commercial properties. D. Mandatory involvement of a government agency in the exchange. Answer. A. It allows investors to defer capital gains taxes on exchanged properties. Explanation. A 1031 exchange, also known as a like-kind exchange, in Texas real estate investment, allows investors to defer paying capital gains taxes when they exchange one investment property for another of like kind. It's a valuable tool for investors to reinvest their gains without immediate tax liability. Question 62. How does Texas law address the issue of undisclosed defects or hazards in a property after sale? A. The buyer assumes all risks post-sale. B. Sellers are liable for undisclosed defects known at the time of sale. C. The property is automatically returned to the seller. D. Mandatory arbitration to resolve issues. Answer. B. Sellers are liable for undisclosed defects known at the time of sale. Explanation. In Texas, sellers are legally liable for any undisclosed defects or hazards in a property that were known at the time of sale. Buyers may seek legal remedies, including damages, if it's found that the seller intentionally withheld information about significant defects. Question 63. Scenario. A real estate broker in Texas commingles client funds with personal funds. What are the legal consequences? A. A warning and mandatory ethics course. B. License suspension or revocation and possible legal action. C. A fine paid to the Texas Real Estate Commission. D. No consequences if funds are separated later. Answer. B. License suspension or revocation and possible legal action. Explanation. Commingling client funds with personal funds is a serious violation of real estate laws in Texas. A broker engaging in such practices can face license suspension or revocation and may also be subject to legal action for breach of fiduciary duties or misappropriation of funds. Question 64. Define the concept of equitable title in Texas real estate transactions. A. The right to occupy the property. B. Full ownership of the property. C. Interest held by one who has agreed to purchase but has not yet closed. D. Shared ownership of a property. Answer. C. Interest held by one who has agreed to purchase but has not yet closed. Explanation. Equitable title in Texas real estate refers to the interest held by a person who has entered into a contract to purchase a property but has not yet completed the transaction. Closed D. The buyer has certain rights to the property despite not holding the legal title yet. Question 65. In Texas, what are the legal ramifications of a real estate agent practicing without a license? A. No specific legal ramifications. B. A warning and a requirement to obtain a license. C. Potential fines and criminal charges. D. Mandatory community service. Answer. C. Potential fines and criminal charges. Explanation. Practicing as a real estate agent without a license in Texas can lead to significant legal ramifications, including potential fines and criminal charges. Real estate practice is regulated by law, and operating without a license is considered illegal. Question 66. Scenario. A Texas property owner wants to challenge a zoning decision made by the local municipality. What legal steps should they take? A. Immediate legal action against the municipality. B. File a complaint with the Texas Real Estate Commission. C. Seek a zoning variance or appeal the decision through the local zoning board. D. Relocate to a different municipality. Answer. C. Seek a zoning variance or appeal the decision through the local zoning board. Explanation. To challenge a zoning decision in Texas, the property owner can seek a zoning variance or appeal the decision through the local zoning board or commission. This involves presenting their case and showing why the decision should be reconsidered or why a variance should be granted. Question 67. Explain how the Texas Real Estate Commission, TRC, regulates advertising in the real estate industry. A. TRC does not regulate advertising. B. By pre-approving all real estate advertisements. C. By ensuring advertisements are truthful and not misleading. D. By limiting the frequency of advertisements. Answer. C. By ensuring advertisements are truthful and not misleading. Explanation. The Texas Real Estate Commission regulates advertising in the real estate industry by ensuring that all advertisements are truthful, not misleading, and properly represent the property. TREC sets guidelines and rules that agents and brokers must follow to maintain honest and ethical advertising practices. Question 68. What is the legal process for evicting a tenant in Texas, and what rights do tenants have during this process? A. Immediate eviction without notice. B. Written notice followed by court proceedings if necessary. C. Tenants have no rights during eviction. D. Eviction by mutual agreement only. Answer. B. Written notice followed by court proceedings if necessary. Explanation. In Texas, the legal process for evicting a tenant involves providing the tenant with a written notice and, if the tenant does not comply, proceeding with court action. Tenants have the right to receive notice and contest the eviction in court. Question 69. How are mineral rights handled in Texas real estate transactions? A. Always transferred with the sale of the property. B. Not relevant in Texas real estate. C. Can be retained or sold separately from the surface rights. D. Automatically owned by the state. Answer. C. Can be retained or sold separately from the surface rights. Explanation. In Texas, mineral rights can be retained or sold separately from the surface rights of the property. This means that the sale of the land does not automatically include the transfer of mineral rights, which must be explicitly included in the transaction if intended. Question 70. Scenario. A buyer in Texas finds out that the property they are interested in is part of flood zone. What disclosures are required by the seller? A. No disclosures are required for flood zones. B. Disclose only if the buyer asks. C. Disclose the flood zone status and any previous flood damage. D. Provide a flood insurance policy. Answer. C. Disclose the flood zone status and any previous flood damage. Explanation. In Texas, sellers are required to disclose if a property is located in a flood zone and if there has been any previous flood damage. This information is crucial for buyers to make informed decisions and consider potential insurance needs. Question 71. What constitutes a breach of fiduciary duty by a real estate agent in Texas? A. Not finding a buyer within a specified time frame. B. Failing to act in the best interest of their client. C. Choosing to represent multiple clients. D. Selling a property below the asking price. Answer. B. Failing to act in the best interest of their client. Explanation. A breach of fiduciary duty by a real estate agent in Texas occurs when the agent fails to act in the best interests of their client. This includes situations such as not disclosing conflicts of interest, not providing all relevant information, or any other actions that disadvantage the client. Question 72. Define the term lion priority and its significance in Texas real estate. A. The sequence of paying off liens during a property sale. B. The largest lion on the property. C. The first lion recorded against the property. D. The most recent lion against the property. Answer. A. The sequence of paying off liens during a property sale. Explanation. Lion priority in Texas real estate refers to the order in which liens on a property are paid off in the event of a sale or foreclosure. It is important because it determines which creditors get paid first from the proceeds of the sale. Question 73. Scenario. A Texas homeowner finds that their new neighbor has built a structure that encroaches on their property. What legal remedies are available? A. Request the neighbor to purchase the encroached land. B. Seek a court order for the removal of the structure or compensation. C. Report the violation to the local police. D. No legal remedies. Property lines are flexible. Answer. B. Seek a court order for the removal of the structure or compensation. Explanation. In Texas, if a homeowner discovers that a neighbor's structure encroaches on their property, they can seek legal remedies such as a court order requiring the removal of the structure or compensation for the encroachment. Question 74. In Texas, what are the guidelines for a valid and enforceable electronic signature in real estate documents? A. An email agreement is sufficient. B. Any typed name at the end of a document. C. An electronic signature that complies with the Texas Uniform Electronic Transactions Act. D. Electronic signatures are not valid in real estate. Answer: C. An electronic signature that complies with the Texas Uniform Electronic Transactions Act. Explanation: in Texas, for an electronic signature to be valid and enforceable on real estate documents, it must comply with the Texas Uniform Electronic Transactions Act. This includes ensuring the signature is attached to or logically associated with the document and executed with the intent to sign. Question 75. Explain the concept of net listing and its legality in Texas real estate. A. A listing where the agent's commission is the excess over a set price, legal in Texas. B. A fixed fee listing regardless of the sale price. C. A listing where the seller nets a predetermined amount. D. An illegal practice in Texas. Answer: A. A listing where the agent's commission is the excess over a set price, legal in Texas. Explanation: a net listing in Texas real estate is a type of listing agreement where the agent's commission is any amount over a set sale price agreed upon with the seller. While legal in Texas, it is subject to certain regulations and scrutiny due to potential conflicts of interest. Question 76. Scenario: a Texas real estate transaction falls through due to a failed financing contingency. What happens to the earnest money in this case? A. The seller keeps the earnest money. B. The earnest money is split between the buyer and seller. C. The buyer forfeits the earnest money. D. The earnest money is returned to the buyer. Answer: D. The earnest money is returned to the buyer. Explanation: in Texas, if a real estate transaction falls through due to a failed financing contingency, and this contingency was part of the contract, the earnest money is typically returned to the buyer. This is because the failure to secure financing is a valid condition for contract termination under such a contingency. Question 77. What are the legal requirements for property disclosures in Texas real estate sales? A. Sellers must disclose all known defects and issues. B. No disclosures are required by law. C. Only disclosures about the age of the property. D. Disclosures are only required for properties over 10 years old. Answer: A. Sellers must disclose all known defects and issues. Explanation: Texas law requires sellers in real estate transactions to disclose all known defects and issues with the property. This includes any problems with the structure, systems, or any other aspect of the property that might affect its value or desirability. Question 78. Define and explain the role of a subagent in a Texas real estate transaction. A. An agent working for the buyer. B. An agent who represents the seller but works under the buyer's agent. C. An agent working under the listing agent representing the seller. D. A government official overseeing the transaction. Answer: C. An agent working under the listing agent representing the seller. Explanation: in Texas, a subagent is a real estate agent who works under the direction of the listing agent and represents the seller in the transaction. The subagent assists the listing agent in various aspects of selling the property while owing fiduciary duties to the seller. Question 79. Scenario: a Texas landowner discovers an easement on their property that they were not aware of at the time of purchase. What are their rights and options? A. They must accept the easement without recourse. B. Seek legal advice to potentially challenge or negotiate the easement. C. Automatically have the easement removed. D. Request compensation from the previous owner. Answer: B. Seek legal advice to potentially challenge or negotiate the easement. Explanation. If a Texas landowner discovers an undisclosed easement on their property, they should seek legal advice to understand their rights and options, which may include challenging the easement's validity or negotiating its terms, depending on the circumstances and easement type. Question 80. How does Texas law regulate the relationship between landlords and tenants, particularly regarding lease agreements and tenant rights? A. Landlords have complete discretion over lease terms. B. Through the Texas Property Code, which outlines specific rights and obligations. C. Tenants have no rights under Texas law. D. Only federal laws apply. Answer. B. Through the Texas Property Code, which outlines specific rights and obligations. Explanation. The landlord-tenant relationship in Texas, including aspects related to lease agreements and tenant rights, is regulated by the Texas Property Code. This code provides a framework of legal rights and obligations for both landlords and tenants, ensuring fair and lawful treatment for both parties.